Hi everyone, this is Ben slash MF32892 here. I just wanted to make a video summarizing my experiences from my recent tournament that I participated in, Fresno Frenzy 2. It was held in Fresno, California on the weekend of September 22nd and 23rd, I believe. So I already mentioned I would be making this video if you saw my other video a couple days ago. So I made a video much like this for the DDR Irvine tournament back in August 2017, and a lot of people ended up liking that. So I wanted to make another one for the last two tournaments I went to, but I ended up being too busy with school and everything, and now it feels like way too after the fact to try making stuff for them. So here I am making one for Fresno Frenzy 2, because that's only happened like a week ago, if not even a week ago. Yeah, I also received a couple comments while I was at the tournament asking if I was going to make a video, specifically from Jordan slash Toxic Fuzz. So I'm like, yeah, I should do it. I should definitely do this again. So here I am. So I've known this tournament was going to happen since like the last Fresno tournament, which I think happened in April of 2018. Adam, the amusement manager, he was using the first Fresno tournament as sort of like, he used it to gauge the interest in having the DDR tournaments in Fresno, so it ended up being way more successful than he imagined. So he had already had tentative dates set for a second tournament, and that ended up happening this past weekend. Yeah, so I've been planning to, make it out to Fresno this weekend, and then something happened like 2 days prior, like on Thursday. It was like a physical injury, so I was starting to worry about whether or not I should go in order to, not make my injury worse. Like, I'm not exactly sure what caused it, but like, it felt like there was a bulge in like my abdomen or something, and like it was starting to feel uncomfortable. I started to like freak out about it because definitely didn't feel normal. So like on Friday, the day before, or the day that we were supposed to leave for Fresno, I went into the athletic trainer at my college, and one of them recommended that I go see a doctor that's like sponsored by the college or whatever. So I went to see the doctor. They didn't tell me much. They said maybe you just hurt, your manhood or whatever. That's where the issue started in the first place. So they recommended that I get an ultrasound, but then I couldn't actually get one scheduled for that day or even that weekend, so I was left with more questions than answers. So I was debating not going because of this. After kind of like brooding over it for a couple hours, I'm like, I think I can work through this. It's like, I'm sure if I just go to sleep, it'll feel a little better in the morning. And that ended up being the case. Like, when I woke up in our Airbnb on Saturday morning, like, I could hardly notice anything. So I'm super glad that I eventually decided to go, because I ended up having like one of the most fun experiences of my life. So yeah, I think that wraps up that. I still don't really know what's happening with this. I'm supposed to be getting an ultrasound to like figure out what's going on in a couple weeks, which I think is too long of a time period to have to wait for something that happened like almost a week ago now. So I don't know, the medical system is weird. I also wanted to clear up a couple points about the origins of my username, because I guess there are still a lot of people who don't know where it came from. Back in 8th grade, I decided that I would join a program called Students Run LA. It's where a bunch of students at your school are sponsored to participate in events and work with like a coach and everything to train up your endurance, your running endurance, to be able to finish a marathon. So I was like very hesitant to like fully commit myself to that, but I'm very glad that I did. March 2013, I completed my first marathon, my first of two, but yeah, I finished my first marathon. The idea that I am a marathon finisher, Like, that's something that not many people can say they've done. So I ended up combining the initials MF for marathon finisher and 32892, which was the bib number that I wore for that marathon. So yeah, just wanted to re-explain that in case you didn't already know. So the qualifiers for this tournament ended up being a 13, a 14, and a 15. I don't remember what choices were from, but the ultimate qualifier songs for singles upper division were White Rose Expert, Chronos Walk With You Remix, and Desert Journey Challenge. This time around, I didn't feel terribly motivated to like grind out the qualifiers, so I ended up just playing the whole set once. I didn't get personal best on everything, but I had a really big boost on Desert Journey. I think I had a 40-something perfect PFC on it, and then during my qualifier set I dropped it down to like 25, so I'm like, I'm happy with this. And then I also PFC'd White Rose and Chronos with like mid-20s as well. So I just took that set and submitted it. So the qualifier rankings, the seeding itself, was a little bit different than it had been in past tournaments. Instead of just like total EX score determining our rank, it was like the rank of each individual song that contributed to like a sum of ranks, and then the lower your sum of ranks, like the higher you would seed. I don't remember the exact ranks for each song, but I ended up being 17th seed, which made me kind of question, whoa, there are a lot of people better than me right now. So I went into it not expecting to go terribly far, but as I'll explain like that, was kind of disproved as, well, not necessarily disproved, but like I ended up shocking a lot of people. The structure of this tournament was a little bit different than a lot of the past TBRA tournaments. Instead of just like a straight bracket with like 50 people in it, like we decided, or the tournament organizers decided, that we should experiment with a pool system. So we'll divide all the qualifiers into 4 different groups based on their seeding, and then yeah, so we do like all the matches in Pool A until we reached a top 4 who hadn't lost yet, and 2 people in the losers bracket who only lost once. It was a double elimination. The first matches, like all the winners matches in the pools, were best of 1 to, you know, sort of save time, because a lot of those initial matches end up being blowouts anyways, so in order to save time, we just did best of 1 for a while until we figured out the top 6 from each bracket, or from each pool. So the pools ended up taking a little bit longer than we expected to. We were hoping to get at least to the top 24, so like the top 6 from each of the 4 pools by the end of the day. But in order to make time for freestyle, we only got through pools A, B, and C, and then we had to do pool D in the morning on Sunday, and then go into top 24 for upper. So I was in Pool A. I ended up winning my first 2 matches. My first was against, I think, a Sacramento player. His username is Bukhaki. Clever name, I guess. We played the Bimani Summer Diary. I ended up getting like 26 perfects and I think a pad good. So I was pretty happy with that, considering my PFC on that is 19. I forget how well my opponent did, but I would hope he got a new record at least. The second match, I played against MAXX, or his user tag is MAXX. I believe his actual name is Jared. I was actually kind of scared because he was seeded 16th, and I was like, I can't underestimate this person. We ended up playing Chaos Expert. Forget what I think we vetoed Homeneko Sensation. It's a 200 BPM song. It's a 13. And it's pretty straightforward, but I'm like, I'm gonna eliminate the straightforward choice because I don't know how good he is at straightforward stuff. Then he ended up vetoing Beautiful Dream Challenge, so we were left with Chaos. And I ended up winning that match as well. So I only played 2 songs on Saturday, and then the rest was just watch. I was top 4 in the winner's bracket for my pool. I thought I was gonna get to play Christopher Life, but we were already at top 4, so we would all get to move on the next day. So my first match on Sunday ended up actually being against FUNGAH, aka Jeff Lloyd, aka one of the KAC qualifiers from North America. I'm pretty sure you all know who that is. But yeah, basically top class player. It was cool finally getting to play against him. I think we had a pretty cool set. Okay, so the card draw was levels 14 through 17, and that included difficult charts. So we ended up drawing Endymion single difficult, the Glass Knee Socks song. It's a 14, it has a bunch of drills in it, Synergy with Angels, Boss Rush, difficult, and Trim, the 16. So I tried to veto so that I'd have like the best chance against Jeff, you know, not make it so that I was like completely blown out of the water. So I ended up vetoing Synergy for Angels because I'm pretty sure he has like 1 perfect on that, and then he ended up vetoing Boss Rush difficult. So I was actually really happy to be able to play Endymion difficult, because if you've been following me for a while, you probably know how many tries I took to, you know, PFC that, like, and that also shows, you know, how well I know the song and how well I'm strong at the chart in general. So I went back through the live stream footage, and it turns out that I was actually like ahead of Jeff for like the first half of the song, which was kind of crazy to me and to everyone else. So that I was like, you know, putting up a good fight against him. He ended up winning that song by like 30 in the end, and then I ended up finishing the song I think with 68 perfects and no greats, no goods, just a couple misses from like some of the drills that I didn't hit correctly. That was pretty good for a tournament showing. Then our second song was the Glass Knees Socks song. I was happy with my performance on that. Like, I managed to PFC it and also dropped like 11 perfects. So I went from like a 40 perfect PFC to 29, I think. And Jeff got like 9, so I don't know. I wasn't expecting to win, but I'm actually really happy with how that match turned out. So there comes my first win, and after that, first loss, and then I got knocked into the loser's bracket. So my next opponent ended up being one of my longtime rivals from SoCal. His tag is Big C. His name is Caesar. Yeah, so we've had each other rivaled since I think the start of Ace, or after I first, you know, met him. So this was kind of a first for us to be versing each other in a tournament setting instead of just, you know, casually. We had a pretty interesting card draw. We drew Pluto Expert, Delta Max Expert, Prana Expert, Samurai Shogun versus Master Ninja, and another phase Expert. He ended up vetoing first, and I was a little surprised to see him veto Delta Max, but he knows me so well. He knows that I only have like 2 grades on that chart, so he's like, nope, we're not doing Delta Max. So we left Pluto Expert in there. And then I also vetoed another phase because I know we're both good at that song, so... And I also really just wanted to play Prana again because I haven't re-PFC'd that in a long time. So, yeah, we played Pluto Expert. I ended up PFCing it in tournament, which is pretty cool since that's only the second time I've done it. I also tied my previous best on it. But Caesar didn't do too bad either. I think he got a PR. He had like a 983k before or something, and then he bumped it up to like a triple M. So good for him. Then we played Prana Expert, our second song. We both ended up PFCing that. He actually had a better high score than I did before we played it against each other. But I ended up dropping like 20-something perfects from like 999, 570 to 999, 800. So I ended up beating Caesar by 10 perfects. He had a 30 perfect PFC and I had a 20 perfect PFC. I wasn't terribly worried about this match, but like if I had let my guard down, then he easily could have beaten me, so props to Caesar. Sorry I had to knock you out. You're a good friend, but like, I wanted to keep going, sorry. My next match ended up being against another SoCal player. His tag is TruMoo, as in, you know, TruMoo, the milk brand. Yeah, his name is Scott. We've played together a bunch at Hollywood Dave & Buster's, and we've known each other for a while now. He's improved really fast in like the past few months of playing, since that's when he really started. I was a little bit annoyed that I ended up just playing all the SoCal players. It's just the thought of coming all the way out to Fresno just to be like, I can play these people at home, you know? Like, what's the point if I'm just gonna play all the people that I already play around against? But that's just kind of like a funny thought that was crossing our minds. Like, all the SoCal people ended up fighting against each other, so we drew, I think it's called Funshinkan Candy. It's from the X2 folder. It was also called Yellow Candy in games like DDR2 for the Wii. But yeah, we played that. It's an Expert 14. I vetoed Knight of Knights Expert, and he vetoed Stolty Expert. And we ended up having Samurai Shogun versus Master Ninja as our second song, and 8 million if we ever got to the third song. Apparently he had never played the first song, the Candy song, so I was able to soundly beat him. He still did pretty good for a sight read. Got like 60 something perfect. And then I had 24 or 25. So I had a slight bump on my score, which is good. Then we played Samurai Shogun, and I guess I ended up PFCing that as well. I actually improved my score by like 5 perfects. I can't discount how well Scott did on the song as well. Like, I PFC'd it with 40 perfects, but he was right behind me with like 45 perfects and maybe like a good and a couple greats. But like, considering he had a 983 on that song before, like, that's really good. Like, the song is really hard to MA. For those wondering why I played it on Mirror, I think I just developed a mental block on one of the ending turns on regular orientation. So like, I play it on Mirror so that I don't rush that particular section, since, you know, I'm not quite familiar in my mind. So yeah, Mirror helps me on that song because I've played it way too often on regular orientation. So I ended up winning that match. Sorry, TruMoo. I had to knock out another SoCal person, but you put up a really good fight. I think I've already told you this in person, so I just want to reiterate to everyone else. My third match in the losers bracket ended up being against Dalton, aka Bluechow. He is a very strong player who's been playing for way longer than I have. He lived in Fresno for a good period of his time, but now I think he lives in the Bay Area. We actually faced each other in the last Fresno tournament, except it was like earlier on. He had seeded 8th in qualifiers and I had seeded 9th. And we actually had a really close match last time, so it was interesting to get to play him again in Fresno Frenzy Part 2. So I think a lot of people were looking forward to this for this rematch. Since last time it went 2-1 in his favor, we were gonna see where we went this time. We ended up drawing a lot of difficult songs. We had Somehow You Found Me Challenge, Gaia Experts, Flower Challenge, Valkyrie Dimension Difficult, and MAXX Period Expert. Vetoed Valkyrie Dimension, and I vetoed Gaia because he's very good at straightforward songs, and I would just be struggling to keep up. Somehow You Found Me, he beat me pretty soundly. He PFC'd it with like 30, and then I had like 74 with like 4 grades, so I can still do better on that song, just that was not my day. So our second song ended up being Flower Challenge. We've already both PFC'd it. He has like 25 perfects on it, and I had like 43, 44, something like that. So seeing the disparity in our PRs, I wasn't expecting to do as well as I did. By the end of the song, I ended up having a plus 26 EX. I ended up actually winning that round, 18 perfect PFC to a 22 perfect PFC, and everyone went crazy. Like, I was shocked, everyone else was shocked. Like, immediately afterwards, like, even Chris for Life, he's like, man, good job, and he like gave me a fist bump, and that was pretty cool. So, you know you're good when, you know, the world champion is all like, that's really good. So, neat little thing there. So, since we were 1-1 at that point, we went on to our third song, Max Period Expert. So, I played this in one of the earlier tournaments, one of the Irvine ones, I can't remember which one, I think it was the one in March. I played it on live stream last time, and people were freaking out that I full comboed it with 3 grades, basically annihilated my opponent. So I think people had high expectations for it. I wasn't quite sure how it was going to end up because Dalton had like flag or something on it, and I had a 996, and I know his MA is generally better than mine, but anything could have happened, so I ended up experimenting with Sudden Plus on this song. That was my first time actually using it, and I think it actually helped my MA a lot. We both kept our PFC up until the stop, and then I held mine to the end of the slowdown section, and apparently we were pretty close for the whole way until the speed up where I started pulling away because I read on 1x, which I could read, and I guess 1.25 is too fast for him to consistently hit, so I ended up winning the match against Dalton, and that was really shocking to me. Shocking for everyone, I think. Yeah, that was just really exciting. I'll have the links to all the matches that I've mentioned in the description somewhere. So yeah, I moved on to top 8. So my next opponent was RANATALS. He's a player from Ohio. I think in this tournament he ended up seeding 4th, so I had really high expectations going up against him. We ended up drawing a pretty hard set. We had Pucci Expert, Koisuru Uchu Senso, it's the Prim 17, Revolution Challenge, and I cannot remember the other 2 songs for the life of me, but we ended up playing Pucci and Revolution, and that was all we needed to do. So it was interesting that Pucci was one of the songs on the list. It was the first one. I have a flag on it, and apparently RANATALS really likes the chart, and it was close to his first 16 PFC, so people who knew these details were like, ooh, this is gonna be exciting. So Pucci, I ended up doing really well on that song. I looked back at the Twitch chat during the song, and people were like, how is he PFCing those drills, no bar? And like, it was kind of crazy how much of a lead I had built up by the end of like the really hard section at the beginning. I think I was up by like 50. Finished the song with 47 perfects, which was kind of crazy. So I blew him out of the water for Pucci, which was unexpected. Then we went on to play Revolution Challenge. That one is one of the 17s I still haven't AAA'd. There's this one drill at the beginning I always struggle with, and then there's the jump streams at the end that are also really difficult. But my PR was better than RANATALS's, or Steven? I'm just calling him Steve. I had a 987k Life 4 clear, and he had a 980k. So we were going through the song. I think for the most part we were pretty neck and neck up until the drill section started. And at that point I started pulling away. So I ended up beating him on that, and there's a really funny clip of Omid kind of going like, what? His like mind is blown that I'm beating all the best players.
No bar player. He just keeps on going.
So then at that point I made it to top 6, which is crazy because that's where I finished in the last Fresno tournament, and I was not expecting to get this far considering how many awesome players there were that entered this time. So I was really happy to get to this point. If I ended up winning my next match, then I would actually be in top 4, which would be really insane. So my final match in singles was against Omid, which is why he was like actually nervous. He was like, you've knocked out the 9th seed, the 4th seed, and he's the 3rd seed, so anything can happen, right? If the 17th seed has beaten both of these people. He posted on Twitter about being really nervous about the match between us, and I think he had good reason to, because it ended up being pretty close. So our card draw for Omid and I was another phase expert, sick expert, illegal function call, Paranoia Hades difficult, that's a level 50, and MAXX 300 Super Max Mix challenge, so the 16th. I vetoed another phase because I knew he would annihilate me at that, because it's super straightforward. He ended up vetoing Paranoia Hades because he doesn't like that chart, probably because of all the jumps. So yeah, sick. I ended up doing a sick job on that song. I had flagged it once before with like 50-something perfects, and I actually managed to PFC it during the tournament, and that was really cool. I believe that's my 14th, 16 PFC. Omid still ended up beating me on that song. He had like 34 perfects versus my 66 or something. He like took a second to give a shout out to me for PFCing the song No Bar, which I appreciate the gesture a lot, so thank you, Omid. Then we played Illegal Function Call as our next song. That ended up being pretty close as well. He started off with a 992 and I had a 998. I had no idea what his MA was on this song, so I didn't know what to expect really. By the end, he nudged me out by just 13 EX points. It was kind of sad that I had finally fallen, but I'm ultimately really happy with how the singles tournament went for me. It would have been really cool if I did get to top 4 and played against, you know, Jeff and Chris and Steven Ninjafar. I played against him once before and he was really good, so it would have been awesome to be top 4. But like I said, I'm actually really happy with where I ended up. So after the singles tournament ended, we started up the doubles tournament, which I was also entering. The qualifiers for that ended up being Flow, True Style, so that's a 13. Second 13 was Malacca Double Challenge, right? This is a double tournament. And then also New Gravity Challenge, so that's a 14. So I played the set, I think, twice. The first time I didn't do terribly well on Flow, so like I'm like, I should redo this. So the second set I ended up submitting, and the results for the qualifier seeding were like way different than I was expecting, so that was a pleasant surprise. I carpooled up to Fresno with Alex, one of the tournament organizers, so I was able to get like a sneak peek of the tournament seedings before everyone else did. And I noticed that I had somehow seeded second on the double side. I'm like, no way. Like, I'm pretty sure there are other doubles players stronger than me, but I ended up, okay, correction, it was technically third because it was based on rank. So I seeded behind Jai Pai. He's been playing for a really long time. He said he's from New York, but I think he lives one of the West Coast states. I could totally be wrong about that, so don't trust my word on that. Jeff FUNGAH was the other seed ahead of me, so that was crazy for me to think about. Like, wow, I'm up there. Like, Jeff was like way ahead of everyone else, but it's totally fine. So for the doubles tournament, it was divided into 4 different pools. It was a little bit different from singles in that we just kind of had one pool match, and then everyone played the same 2 songs, and then we were ranked by EX on each of them, and then the person with the lowest rank, or the highest rank, the best rank, whatever you want to call it, would move on and advance to the top 4. In the event that the ranks were tied, we'd use whoever's EX score total was the highest. So in my pool, we had Caesar again, Nightman, he's another no-bar player, I believe he's from the Sacramento area, Function, also from the Sacramento area, and then Ninjafar, who joined doubles last minute so didn't have a qualifying seed, so he scared me because I don't know how good he is at doubles. And then yeah, it was me and the 5th person. So it was kind of like a draw 7 cards, everyone vetoes 1, so we're left with 2. The 2 songs that ended up remaining were May Double Expert, which is a 15, and Tell Me What to Do Challenge, 14. That 14 was pretty awkward in the beginning, so that was an interesting first play for me. I ended up being the first to play out of our pool, so I had to kind of sit back after I had finished and watch how everyone else did. When it came to Ninja Far's turn, I was getting kind of nervous because I don't know how good he is at doubles, like I mentioned. He ended up being a little bit behind me on May Expert by like 13, and then he like barely nudged my Tell Me What to Do score by 1 EX. So while our ranks were the same, I had like a good 12 or 13 EX points on him, so I ended up advancing to top 4 for double, which I think is pretty cool, especially as a no-bot player. So from there, I ended up facing Jaipai. He was 2nd seed, so I played the 3 songs, and then if he ended up beating me on the first 2, then he wouldn't have to play the 3rd. It was like 5 card draw, and vetoed 1 each. So our draw was I'm So Happy Challenge, Super Samurai Expert, it's a 16 on doubles, Crazy Love Double Expert, Truare Expert, and NGO Expert. So he ended up choosing to go 2nd, so he vetoed 1st. He ended up vetoing NGO, which I was very grateful for, because that is an awful chart to try no bar. And then I was debating between I'm So Happy and Super Samurai. I haven't played either on Ace yet, so I wasn't entirely sure what the charts looked like. I ended up vetoing I'm So Happy because I know I have like a mental block on the singles chart, so I was assuming that I'd have some sort of mental block on doubles. Super Samurai was an interesting chart. I've definitely seen it before, but it's been a while. But that's actually a really tough chart. Like, it definitely deserves its 16 rating, especially because of like the streams at the end that like require you to stretch really far. He ended up beating me on both charts, so he didn't play Truare, but I was glad that I could show off that I'm actually somewhat decent at doubles too. So then there was a 3rd place match. Dalton had lost to FUNGAH because he had advanced. So I ended up playing Dalton for a 2nd time in the same day. That was interesting. He's like, why do I gotta keep playing this guy? I've already played him like once today and like once last tournament. Why do I gotta fight him again? This time he won. But I want to talk about the card draw set because that was like crazy hard. So our card draw was Saber Wing Akira Ishihara Headshot Mix Expert, Pluto Challenge, which is a 17, Amera Challenge, also a 17, Saber Wing Akira Ishihara Headshot Mix Challenge, so there's that song there twice, 1 expert, 1 challenge, and Trip Machine Evolution Expert 16. From that crazy 5 card draw, Dalton ended up vetoing Pluto because apparently he doesn't know the gimmicks very well, and he also probably saw me PFC the expert chart on singles earlier in the day. And I ended up vetoing Amera because that's a really hard doubles chart. I've played it once before and I've had like an 860k, so that's like my current lowest double 17. I'm like, nope, not gonna play that one. So we ended up playing Saber Wing Akira Ishihara Headshot Mix twice. Once on Expert, once on Challenge. Both of which are very difficult charts for no bar. So he went first this time. Since I was the higher seed, I chose to go 2nd. He ended up beating me pretty soundly on Expert. He like full comboed it with like 980k or something. I actually ended up winning Challenge somehow. Like I did better on the Challenge than I did the Expert chart. Well, I guess I was able to read that one section that goes back and forth in the middle, and that probably helped me. So we ended up going 1-1 again, so I had to play the 3rd song, Trip Machine Evolution. At this point of the day, I was exhausted. I had already played 7 intense matches that day, 6 of them in singles, so I was already really exhausted. So when we got to Trip Machine Evolution, when we got to the jump section, I'm like, my body doesn't want to do this anymore, so I'm just gonna keep missing. So Dalton ended up winning 3rd place. I got 4th, and that was that. I got to take a picture with the top 4 doubles, and that was pretty cool. I posted that on like my Instagram and stuff now, so, and I also retweeted it and stuff on Twitter. So it was nice to be, I guess, recognized for doubles as well. So I also wanted to clear up some of the discussion about why I play no bar. I forget exactly how these ideas came about. I think at one point I said it's uncomfortable for me to play bar. Some people started to infer that that meant I had a medical condition, but that's really not the case. Yes, I have used the word uncomfortable in my attempts at bar usage. Honestly, I just started off playing no bar when I was learning to play. Like, I never had space to put a chair or anything behind for balance, so I just learned without. And then when I occasionally went to the arcade, sure, I might use the bar, but like, it didn't seem to personally be helping me, so I just continued to play without the bar because that was what I was used to. That's how I've been playing for like 3 to 4 years at this point. Like, I don't even know how to distribute my weight on the bar or anything like that. So if I do end up transitioning to using the bar, it will take some time, and I don't see myself devoting that time anytime soon. So I plan to stay no bar for as long as I can. But yeah, it's not a medical condition. I don't think there's anything wrong with my wrists or my back or anything like that, so I just wanted to dispel those rumors real quick. So yeah, I think that sums up most of what I wanted to talk about. I do also want to say I'm very thankful to have met so many different people at this event. Like, there are a lot of people that I've kind of seen floating around Twitter and stuff, like Amber and Jordan, so that's Ambones and Toxic Fuzz, among others, I think. But I just had a really fun time hanging out with all the DDR people. I ended up sitting next to Watson. I think his tag is Megumin for a good portion of the time. I had a really good time sitting next to him. Like, he was very funny. We were making jokes and stuff. Yeah, that was awesome. There are other people that it was nice to see again, like Vanessa. I think she's from San Diego. Her tag is Nesquik. I know there's a lot of people I'm like forgetting to mention, but I had a really good time meeting all these new people. Dasha. I forget if she's from Sacramento. I think she's from Sacramento. It's nice reconnecting with John, aka Chaos, Dalton. One of my favorite parts of just watching the tournament was jamming out to Right on Time, Ryu Remix every time it came on. Like, there was a group of people that would just kind of like sing along and like be bouncing along to the beat. Like, don't you know, I've been waiting for you, you know, all that stuff. That was really fun, so. Yeah, so this was one of the most fun events I've been to in a really long time, so I'm really glad that I decided to come instead of, you know, letting my body hold me back. I still don't know what's going on with that, so I'm gonna try to take it a little bit easier for at least a week or 2. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully it's nothing serious. If it was serious, I don't know. I don't regret coming to Fresno Frenzy. So this is probably a very long video at this point, so I think that's all I wanted to say. So yeah, if you watched the whole thing, thank you for listening to me talk for probably going on half an hour. I hope you'll keep coming back to watch more videos, and I appreciate all the support that I've received over these past few years, and I hope you'll keep coming back. So, thank you. Bye.